So what originally was planned on being this huge 30-minute rant about casual balance somehow was actually kind of deconstructed and redesigned as a more thought-provoking series instead. So I guess kind of continuing off the last video, which was uploaded way too long ago, which was pretty much mainly about balance. I kind of wanted to see with the heavy update, if he got a hypothetical update. I thought, hey, we may not be getting a new update anytime soon, so why not make a more concise video that kind of goes into what I would change given the current weapons and tactics each class has. So in this episode, if you could call it that, I guess it's more of just a glorified rant. I want to talk about my favorite class in the game, which is the Scout, and just... Okay, look, from this video, you should expect a few minor things to crop up. Sometimes I'll let bias get in the way, and if you run into that at any point, literally just call me out. But for the most part, I want to keep this video kind of subjective and open for discussion. Also, keep in mind, I'm talking mainly about the Scout in casual, and the current set of weapons and items he has at his disposal, compared to, you know, making a video about a full-fledged update with new stuff, which I would much rather save for a separate video. But with that all out of the way, let's roll that leafy transition, yeah. So really, to set the table here, I'll flat out say that the Scout has gotten some of the most impulsive and unconsidered nerfs of any class in the game. I genuinely think Valve hates the little fast Boston boy they created sometimes, just by how hard his weapons have been slammed with nerfs and mechanic changes. I mean, we had two set of utilities that went from overpowered admittedly to completely situational and almost borderline useless because drinking both the Bonk and Criticola is pretty much a suicide run nowadays. You had primaries for the Scout that offered movement buffs such as extra speed or jumps, that once again were way too broken or good at one point and got nerfed to a point where I never see any competent Scouts ever running them. Really, the only thing that hasn't been touched is Scout's melees, but that's mainly because his bats are utilized for building Uber or granting some sort of movement options. Except the stock bat, which I stand, stock bat gain, rise up. However, if you haven't noticed the overall theme with the way Valve pretty much balances the Scout, basically he had a weapon or utility that was completely broken and overpowered, and then pretty much saw down into something that's not even worth trying to get good with because its downsides will always hinder any form of completion or reward for utilizing its upsides. Yeah, and I understand the difficulty to balance Scout. I mean, you have a class who is literally designed mainly for deathmatch, and he is generally one of the best 1v1 classes in the game. So try to find a balance between rewarding Scouts for good aim and movement, and also not creating a gun that allows the Scout to outrun his hitbox because he can't actually dodge, is a medium that can be a slippery slope, and I can understand the struggles of probably balancing Scout. He is a strong combat class, and like most classes in the game, you have to be careful with balance to make sure everyone is at least on some sort of even playing field. I mean, you know, balancing up to 144 engagements at once given a 12v12 casual is probably something that will never fully work, but hey, at least if you could try and find some at least gray area, even if it's a sliver at most cases, is more than welcome, especially given the chaotic nature of 12v12. Now, given the Scout is strictly and mainly a DM, you know, combat class, I feel like Valve wants to keep in those strict bounds, hence why they probably have been very careful with his weapons to not disrupt his current role or have him bleed into other areas of specialization that the other bricks already mainly cover, if that kind of makes any sense. Still, however, it seems many of these weapons are just sort of empty versions of what they could be, and I would like to offer maybe just some changes to Scout's current weapons. I'll throw up a list of weapons I will not be covering because I feel they are either already good or have been changed to be competent in the past, but the other ones I discuss could definitely use some potential changes, if not are good, but I'd just like to offer maybe a retrospective on them in a sense. I'll start off with primaries and move down the list. I'm gonna probably rapid fire through some of them just because I have like not really much to say on them. They're either, you know, they're just really broken and just bad, or they're really good and maybe they could use some, you know, maybe a little bit of house cleaning. I don't know, we'll see. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So starting off with the primaries, I want to kick it off with the soda popper, which might, you know, get a bit of flack. I understand a lot of people like the soda popper and myself. It's a weapon that is just kind of shy of being good, honestly. I really like this weapon. However, I'm talking about this gun because it had more of a pretty big downfall since its early days. I think what it used to be, you know, if they could kind of find a middle ground between that, it would be a much more popular choice. Honestly, the mini crit mechanic would work under the damage dealt meter to earn it instead of just running around like it used to work. Also, I think if they removed random crits from this gun, and since you'll essentially always have access to mini crits at most times, I think that would be a good middle ground because, you know, you get the mini crits, it makes it more rewarding, and the crits don't feel unfair in a sense. I also feel like if the soda popper was the only one to get mini crits, so, you know, when you pop the meter, it doesn't spread all the weapons out with mini crits because, you know, you're gonna have that one dick spamming pistols. So kind of limiting them to only 2 quick burst shots, you know, at a time, allowing them to dish out some pretty decent burst damage. I think that's a good middle ground, and overall it would kind of make it a bit more popular. Honestly, this is more of a suggestion than a concern, and the way the weapon is right now is completely fine. Like I said, I think this, like the soda popper and the force of nature, are just in great spots right now, talking at least about the double-barreled shotguns. Keep in mind that this is just a balanced video, so I'm talking about weapons that are really good and just offering a retrospective over just talking about all the bad ones, but yeah, let's move on. So the Babyface's blaster is easily one of my favorite weapons on paper. I mean, you literally get the ability to go faster than the scout, which already sounds really cool. However, this weapon in its early days was a huge crutch for scouts who can't dodge, since the scout would outrun his hitbox, making enemies frustrated when trying to track them. Now, since the weapon has been nerfed, and while the hitbox issue was fixed, you are essentially even more of a glass cannon than before, since literally getting sneezed on by a bullet will destroy all of your speed that was built up. You also can't double jump either, as that will also just destroy your speed meter, so you really have to sacrifice a lot to go fast for a limited amount of time. I feel a good change to this weapon is to do something similar to what we have seen with the soda popper, and just have this speed be a meter that builds up and can be activated for constant speed that can't be interrupted by anything. It would be pretty much like drinking the old Criticola but without the crits, so you could just essentially run around quicker without immediately getting ended by one straight pistol shot or rocket. I just don't feel like you get to utilize the speed boost enough with this weapon that makes it worth its downfalls, and having to lose the ability to double jump and having a slower base speed by default just really isn't worth it in my opinion. It's also worth noting that this weapon is pretty much a worse scattergun in its current state, since you just lose 2 shots in a clip, meaning you'll do even more reloading than what already occurs with stock. Alright, so moving on to the secondaries, we're going to start off with the Criticola. The Criticola is pretty much just a worse fan of war. If you want to deal mini crits to a target without all the downsides, such as also being susceptible to mini crits yourself, just equip the Fan of War. Valve, if you want to fix this soda, make the mark for death occur after the effects wear off. That's pretty much all I have to say. Pretty much use the Fan of War. The Flying Guillotine. So, first off, watch this video. Just kidding, don't, it sucks. But going off what I said in that video, it'd be much better if this thing critted enemies slowed down by the Sandman. I mean, at least now that the enemies have a chance to dodge it, I feel it wouldn't be as broken as when the Sandman stunned people. If not, you know, I don't know, maybe get the thing random crits, maybe? I don't know. Because it would be pretty funny and epic, I guess? I don't know, but probably not. Alright, moving on. So, moving on to the Sun on the Stick, I mean, literally just make the fire resistance passive, and you pretty much have a great utility if you can't fight pyros that well. I mean, the main reason people run this melee, I'm assuming, is specifically to deal with that, so you might as well make it worth the while, because nobody's going to be using this as a last resort damage dealer, I promise you that. With the Candy Cane, if this thing didn't make you susceptible to one-shot from demos and soldiers, it would be ran so much more. Instead, making the Scout take more fire damage or something other than explosives would be a lot better. I mean, honestly, I don't think any competent Scout thinks getting 25 extra HP from enemies is worth dying for constantly to soldiers and demos. Now, alternatively, it'd be cool if the health kit drop was passive across your team, or at least if if your team was nearby you and they got kills, it would drop health packs. It would make this melee, I think, a bit more competent as a team support weapon, especially if you don't have a medic or NG, which is pretty much all the time given casual TF2. Now, with the Sandman, once again, no, I'm just kidding. Don't watch the video. But seriously, just bring back the combo. It was really the only good one Scout had, if not the only one he had ever. And given the current state of the Sandman, there's literally no point in using it, as slowing enemies is not as much of a good deal since there's a fully automatic minigun that can do it 24/7. So yeah, overall, the Scout and casual TF2, he's in an okay spot. I mean, he could be doing better. I feel like the 12v12 chaos attitudes can work to the Scout's advantage, given the map or mode, but however, there are some maps that are just too low ceiling or choke pointy for the Scout to do much, as his explosive brothers, so I guess there's that, but he has some weapons that, if given the changes, I think would really give the Scout some more interesting options instead of just running the scattergun, one of the 3 pistols, and the Boston Basher 24/7, as you see on most Scouts that have, actually booted up the game. So let me know your guys' thoughts down below on the current state of Scout weapons, and maybe his place in casual TF2, Has he been treated too harshly, or did the little bastard get what he deserved? Let me know in the comments below. Well, other than that, guys, don't forget to leave a like and maybe consider subbing to the channel. And as always, thank you and have a good day.